Imagine if everything you know and love slowly deteriorates before you. People dear to you, basic facts, and simple body function. These are the effects that Alzheimer's has on millions of people around the world. However, scientists are getting closer and closer to finding a way to combat Alzheimer's with new advancements, discoveries, and technology. So, what exactly is Alzheimer's? Well, according to the National Institute on Aging, Alzheimer's disease is an irreversible, progressive brain disorder that slowly destroys memory and thinking skills, and eventually the ability to carry out the simplest tasks. And this is caused from a plaque buildup in brain cells that causes the slow eventual death of brain cells. And this is called beta amyloid. So just some statistics. Since 1995, Alzheimer's has increased by 55%. And I think this is due to an increased awareness of this and more medical diagnosis, and because they know more about the disease in general. But it's also caused the death of 262,000 people in 2017, making it the 6th leading cause of death in the United States. And also 10% of people over the age of 65 has a form of Alzheimer's or dementia. So I think this shows just how widespread it is, especially among elders. And despite this, many people don't realize how big of a problem it really is. So the current identification of Alzheimer's is split into 7 stages. The first stage is no impairment. So the disease has arrived in the brain, but no problems really show. None of the symptoms are apparent to an outside viewer. Next is a very mild decline. So memory loss is present, but it can't really be distinguished from normal memory loss in everyday lives. Next is a mild decline. This is a noticeable change, and this stage is known for people losing basic physical objects that they wouldn't normally lose. The next is a moderate decline. So people have trouble remembering what they were doing earlier that day. The memory loss progresses. They have trouble with simple math, simple arithmetic, and this makes it hard to live on your own because handling finances is something that math entails. So the next is moderately severe decline. This is the 5th stage, and through this stage, most people need medical assistance. They have trouble handling and caring for themselves, getting dressed, going to the bathroom by themselves. The 6th is a severe decline. So the person is almost completely dependent on medical care. They only remember certain family members or close friends, and the next stage is, and the last stage is a very severe decline, and this is basically a loss of all brain function. The person's only limited to maybe a few phrases, but the quality of life is almost none in this case. So the current treatment on Alzheimer's are drugs, but the problem with these drugs is that they only really slow or hinder the process. They don't actually cure the disease, and there's no known cure right now for Alzheimer's. And since the disease is terminal, there's slowing the process down really doesn't help, because you're just slowing the inevitable, which is at the end of it, sadly, death. So my witness to the disease was through my grandmother. I was very little, very young. I don't really remember much, but through my family, they tell me a lot about her struggle with the disease. And so she was first diagnosed when she was on her way home in Redford. She was discovered at a gas station on Detroit's east side, actually, just completely away from home. And when they discovered her, she didn't really have any bearings on her location at all, didn't really know where she was, just generally confused, which is kind of showing the symptoms of a stage 4, and that's kind of when they discovered her um, progression of the disease. And so she later needed medical professional care, but since it is terminal and the disease progresses no matter what you really do, she later succumbed to the disease and died. And so my family kind of was a first-hand witness to these 7 stages, and her life kind of inspired me to research a potential cure or potential research that could lead to a cure. So with this latest research, there's a new method called immunotherapy. Now, you're probably wondering what immunotherapy is. So it's the prevention or treatment of a disease with substances that stimulate immune response. So specifically in Alzheimer's, it targets this beta amyloid that I talked about, the plaque in the brain that kills brain cell death. And it also, what's important with immunotherapy is that it helps the immune system fight. It doesn't actually go to this, it goes to the source, but it's mainly helped to strengthen the immune system. But the problem with this is that researchers are trying to find a way to prevent like collateral damage from the immune system, because if it's too much and it's too strong, then it'll kill the brain cells in the process. So one company that's working to help stop this is Biogen. They're an American-based company. They research neuroscience and potential breakthroughs, and they're kind of leading the charge in Alzheimer's cure and Alzheimer's research. And so they're currently creating a new drug with monoclonal antibodies. What those are, basically condensed down, is that they identify the beta amyloid and help seek out, but not destroying the brain cells in the process like these researchers are trying so hard to do. And this is kind of the key ingredient for these new drugs. And they plan to apply this new drug for the FDA as soon as 2020. And to me, this is like the first concrete step that a company has shown in the fight against actual cure for Alzheimer's. So finally, what you can do, I think the main priority is spreading awareness, because like I said, the disease is widely unrecognized and many people don't really realize how it impacts elderly people. But also, let others know what I've told to you about Biogen, about potential new drug, new cure for this disease, because if people don't realize that there is a new disease, they won't really think there's a point in fighting for the new disease. But I think if there's anything you can get out of this, it's that you have to look out for family members, especially elderly people, close friends, close family, because research suggests that early diagnosis is key for the treatment of this. So if my family maybe looked out for my grandmother and looked for the stages progressing in her brain, then they may have been able to extend the longevity of her life, and not only the longevity of her life, but the quality of life. So I hope that you guys realize that there is a potential breakthrough in a disease that has plagued millions of people around the world, and I hope that you do whatever it's possible to help fight it.